All right. Good morning, my faithful viewership of 0. I am getting a couple bots, it seems, every stream, which that's encouraging. Show is called, what is it called? Premarket Wake Up? Yeah, that's what it's called. The community is called No More Paper Trading. My name's Frank. I just want to build a community of traders. Can trade really anything. I present futures, but I also trade other things. I just daily trade futures, whereas the other stuff I work on in spurts, longer term investments, and then just check up on them. I originally wanted to become a day trader of stocks, but I gravitated towards futures for many reasons. I guess anyone who trades futures will know what I mean. In the beginning of my trading last year, I switched over to penny stocks for a little while and was actually starting to make good money until I realized that my broker charges insane commissions on not just penny stocks, because they're penny stocks, but on at open, I think they were called, at close orders, at open and at close orders. And I think they do penny stocks as well, but they define penny stocks, I think anything under or over certain. Anyway, I ended up with like a $4,000 bill for commissions, where I only made like $3,500, something like that. But I thought thought I could retire. Thought I was done. I thought, oh, this is it. This is easy. Maybe I'll get back into that again at some point. But that could have been a moment in time when penny stocks were easy to keep track of and easy to make money off of. I think I will look into that in the future, because I did look into other brokers that don't charge those type of commissions. I'm not very happy with Interactive Brokers, but I'm not very upset with them either, so I don't know. Anyway, I'm rambling. Today is September 23rd, Tuesday. In this show, I'll check the news coming out immediately at 8:30. I don't think there's anything today. Let's take a look. And then I'll go into the overnight moves of the equities and gold and oil. Then I'll take a look at news further into the future, coming up later this week. And then finally, I'll go over key levels to look out for trading today. I am not against evolving the show into something else eventually. It's just hard with the amount of work I have on other things. One of the ideas I have to bring more people to the show is to post more on TradingView and to make indicators on TradingView. That might work, that might not. I'm terrible at social media because I don't like it. The only time, in fact, in my life that I've seen a use for it, besides when I was young and chasing girls, but the only time I've seen a use for it, for real, is marketing for trading, which is why I've started this community. Why didn't I join another community? Because I didn't see any that I liked. And there's just scam. Everything's a scam. Even, just everything is a scam. Even the ones that didn't seem like it. Eventually, the sales pitch comes out. And I wanted to start a community where that doesn't happen. It's a selective community. No Bitcoin scams, nothing. Nothing like that. Anyway, 8:30, there wasn't much. Current account, I don't know what that is. Yeah. It's money leaving the country, I guess. Anyway, in 23 minutes, we have a Fed speech coming up. I'll go over this later. Let's skip that. Let's take a look at overnight moves. The word for today is flat. Everything has been pretty much flat. And the overnight price for the ES has not been able to get over previous day's close. Made several attempts, but that would have been great trades, all of them. Just keep scalping that. I had one good trade last night. I wouldn't call it good. One okay trade. I tried, I'll go over that when I get to it. The NQ, same story, except the NQ did make an attempt and hit almost exactly the current month high and yesterday's high, which is yesterday's high. But very similar, flat, not really going anywhere. That could be considered positive for today. The fact that we didn't pull back. But I wouldn't call it as positive as if we did pull back and then sharply rebound. Let's look at times that happened, because you'll see on the large pullbacks and then sharp rebounds actually get some real good momentum. This is a daily NQ chart. If you haven't been here, which you haven't because nobody has, I use daily and 5 minute. I wouldn't mind one day throwing in a 15-minute, 30-minute, or an hour. I don't think there's use of a 4-hour. I might do that, but right now I have so many charts as it is, and this is what I'm comfortable with. Anyway, this is the daily, and as you can see, last Wednesday made all-time new highs on Tuesday, and then Wednesday came back, rejected lower prices, and then the next 3 days were to the moon. So that's what I mean by the overnight might be considered okay news, good news, that we won't head lower, but in my opinion at least, it's not as good as a flat out rejection of prices lower. Not to mention that brings in tons of buyers to make another leg up. In fact, I have a feeling that today we might make all-time new highs, but then it won't get anywhere and we'll probably reject it pretty quickly. But I don't know. I'll wait till I see it. All right, let's take a look at the Russells. Same thing across the board. Hold on one sec. Let me connect my broker so I can show my trades. Flat. The Russell's flat as well. Except for recently, it's actually trending up to make an attempt at Monday's high. But I thought we would reject the close last night, which is why I placed a short with my stop right above. Is that all-time high? At least it was Monday's high. Yeah, that's all-time high. Not all-time high, but call it a monthly high. And I kept seeing RSI trend lower and lower and lower, but price wasn't breaking. It broke pretty good around midnight, but I wasn't staying up that late, and I didn't feel comfortable leaving it on, seeing how it was sticking. So I just took a little bit of profit. Like $30, whoopee. But my profit target was definitely not. I was going for right above opening range high of yesterday, which is this green line. All right, Dow. Again, flat. Mostly flat. It's actually trending up. I guess you can kind of say the Russell's trending up. Definitely not the NASDAQ or the ES. Yeah, I wonder why these two are kind of trending up slowly. Could be nothing. Price did reject the yesterday's high. All right, gold. Whoa. Overnight gold seemed to... That would have been good trades, both. So I'll give an example of how I read RSI. So the first time price hit Monday's close, RSI reached, what would you consider that, 30? And then the second time made another attempt to go below the close, and RSI was not that low. So that tells me the strength wasn't there. So that would have been a good trade. If you read RSI differently, let me know. All I know is that I don't know everything. And I'm thinking about getting rid of MACD because it really, or at least telling myself I only will consider it for very short-term trades. Basically looking at the pattern, the slant pattern of the bars, I guess you would call them. So my idea is in very quick scalping, I would look at MACD and see, okay, it's slanted, even though it is red, it's slanted up, so I should only go long in my very short-term trades anytime price gets near the close, for example. With gold, it's not a great idea. Gold tends to move around a lot more. But other than that, if you just looked at MACD here, I guess you would have seen that it starts to recover. But I'm not convinced it's the greatest indicator. And space is at a premium right now on my charts. I've also I wish there was another volume indicator. That would show, instead of showing the color based on the candle, it would show the color based on the amount of buyers or sellers. What was the majority? In fact, I intend to make an indicator like that. I don't think I'll attempt to share it because it will probably get rejected. TradingView is very strict about that type of stuff. Even if it is a feature that's not anywhere else, they'll say it's too close to regular volume, so they won't allow it. I'm trying to figure out how to share those indicators privately only, and then just give it to anyone who asks. But maybe I could do something else to make it look fancier, but then you can turn off those fancier options. We'll see. We'll see if it's even possible. Maybe it's not possible. But if it's possible to do this for up-down volume here, see that median line? That would be what's the balance. So I could just take a reading from that and say, okay, the balance is buyers here, so make it green. This candle would be green according to these rules. So on and so forth. I mean, heck, for all I know, it might be pretty accurate as it is. Yeah, it seems to be. Alright, nix that. Or maybe when you do get a, that'd be an interesting indicator. So when you do have, let's say a candle close green, but volume is in the red, depending on how much in the red on the side of sellers. I'm not sure how they calculate this. I got to figure that out first. That would give you a signal, a reversal signal. So where was the example I found, even though it wasn't this one? This one would be considered green at 5:35. You could have a little signal there. Shows like a divergence of, what would that be a divergence of? And what would cause that? Let's say, I'm just spitballing here to myself, but let's say let's say we have a huge green candle, but let's say we got 2/3 majority sellers. I'm sure it happens once in a blue moon. What would that be indicative of? That would be there's fewer. If my assumption of this calculation is correct, that they just take the total number of orders, total number of sell orders, total number of buy orders, that would be indicative of large players coming in, meaning that the buyers, few in number, had far more orders, so they were larger players. That would be a valuable indicator. I want to write this down quick just so I don't forget about it. I'm going to look into some type of indicator like that to see if my assumptions are correct. Wait, there's a problem with it though. If up-down volume is calculated just by the sheer number of buyers and sellers, wouldn't it be calculated by groups of orders? Like if I put in a 5 contract order, would that be considered 1 buy, or would that be considered 5 buys? I don't think it is. I think it's just, I don't know. I definitely want to look into this more. Figure out exactly how these things are calculated, if I can understand it. I think I wrote enough to understand what I mean later. Alright, done with that tangent. Gold is up again. It's just kind of crazy. that at the same time gold is up, the regular market's up. There's starting to be whispers of a large crash, but I don't think there's any time when there hasn't been whispers of that. But as you can see in the overnight gold, once gold got over the R3 pivot point, it went to the moon. There's a good chance we're going to come back down to that area because it seems to be getting a little overextended. I'd like to know why gold is experiencing these large upticks. Let's see what TradingView says. Central banks may stockpile Bitcoin. So is Bitcoin and gold correlated? To be honest, I ignore Bitcoin. But it's on the rate cut, according to TradingView. Which, this is not gospel. This is not, when you see something on Yahoo that says, oh, market's up because of this, this, and this, don't believe it ever 100%. They're just taking a guess. Sometimes the answer isn't one thing. It's often multiple things, and it's often very wrong. But let's take that theory right there. A rate cut is causing gold to increase. I don't see the logic in that. I would think if the price of borrowing money becomes cheaper, people would be pulling money out of gold to borrow against. Or maybe they're using the gold as collateral. I don't know. If you have any ideas, let me know. In fact, I'm going to ask TradingView, the community on TradingView, what their opinion is. I'm going to write it down this time so I don't forget. All right. But one thing of note in the overnight is gold did respect these key areas pretty nicely, which is a little bit unusual for gold. There might have been a lot of retail traders last night. And personal news, I guess not personal news, but I'm making very good progress on my indicator that shows when the overnight markets are, or when the world markets open and close. And it's done in a way I don't think, excuse me for one sec. Alright, sorry, I forgot to put it on mute. It's always scammers anyway. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, making progress in my indicator. It's going quite well. And I think it's done in a way that's different enough from other ones that it won't get rejected. Because I think it's, I couldn't find one that would display it the way I wanted to accurately. A lot of them, I don't know if the person made it specifically for their time zone, or TradingView didn't have that feature then to adjust the time zones. I'm not sure, but I hope it doesn't get rejected. Either way, it'll be valuable to me. But you can see this is the Now I forget. Close or open of Europe. I think it's the Euro open. Let me double check that. But there's been a pattern in other markets, like you see in the Russell. This started around 4 a.m. as well. A large increase in volume. I would assume that's European markets opening. No, maybe not. No. Yeah, it is. It's around that time. So for some reason Europe is buying a lot of gold, I would assume. It's also right at the close of Tokyo. So that could be them jumping over to US markets to continue trading. I don't know. Hopefully I can get this indicator going. Alright, oil. I'm drawing things out already. I want to get working on it. Oil bounced pretty nicely off of yesterday's opening range high, and it's been going higher as well. Let's see if they can say why. They can't say. So even if they don't know, they still put out something to just because they need something to talk about. Oil halted at yesterday's high though, and seems to be sitting there now. Looks like it's gonna reject, but I wouldn't trade. It's too close to the open. All right, let's take a look at the news. I think Powell's gonna be talking soon. He's got to justify his gigantic salary somehow. Maybe it's not that big. I don't know. So the Powell speech is at 12:35. I will be blocking out that time today. Also PMI. I won't be trading then. That's right at 9:45. Later this week, we have new home sales tomorrow, and then another Fed speech. Thursday, I won't be able to trade much on Thursday. I gotta work, but I can still do this stream. GDP on Thursday, and then Friday, Michigan consumer sentiment. All right, let's take a look at key levels for today and what to expect. Well, I can't tell you what to expect, but I can tell you the areas that price might stop at slightly, at least for a short amount of time. Start with the ES. I gotta put that on my to-do list quick. I keep forgetting about it. I want to put, I got a Stream Deck for my trade buttons. But I didn't realize you could use it with OBS to change screens quickly. Because right now it takes me a while to switch from one chart to the other. But I keep forgetting to do it. Alright, see how tight the overnight was? That could be good news for today, like I said earlier. I'd be looking at, if the open breaks above yesterday's close, I would say it would disrespect the high. It wouldn't really stop there. And past there, I don't know. I would only trade on a pullback to the pivot point at 67.59, the R2 pivot point. Or it could pull back all the way to the close, which, as you can see in the overnight, a lot of volume is built up there. NASDAQ, very similar outlook. The NASDAQ and the ES have been quite correlated the last week or so. Oh, I forgot. On the ES, if we head lower, you have the overnight low, which I don't know. That might be important because in the NQ, the overnight low is close to R2. So if we head lower, that might be a stopping point, which on the ES would be 67.44. If we head beyond that, you're looking at yesterday's low at around 66.94. Now the NQ, if we head lower, you're looking at yesterday's low as well. If we head higher, I don't know, we're in no man's land. I would say wait for a bounce back to yesterday's close or the current month high. On the Russell, again, the Russell was trending higher very slightly in the overnight. But still, I would consider it flat. If we head higher, you have the current month high at 24.98. And beyond that, there isn't much. I don't see us getting anywhere near R2 for some time. I really don't think before month's end, for sure. But who knows? If we head lower, you're looking at this large area of resistance right here, starting at 24.62. It's also near where yesterday's normal trading hours open was. And then beyond that, it would be yesterday's low, if we head that far. Those are the key areas I see. I ignore opening range high once the market opens. Not completely ignore, but I don't I don't really trade off of it. All right, the Dow. If we head higher, look for a pullback to R1 pivot point or current month high, which isn't the current month high anymore. I gotta change that. We actually broke the yesterday's high in the overnight, but didn't stay above long. If we head down, look for the close, yesterday's close, is an important stopping point. And then beyond that, just like in the Russell, we have this resistance area building up. That was, if you look at the daily, you can see that was built. Wouldn't that be 2 weeks ago? Yeah, 2 weeks ago about. Then beyond that would be yesterday's low. All right, with gold, I'm staying away from gold. I don't know what to think. Overextended would be the word. But I said that yesterday. I don't know why, but for futures, I can't. It's very hard for me to buy after making all-time new highs or monthly highs or any real good run up. I find it hard to buy once you're up there. For stocks, I guess I see it differently. I don't know why. But for stocks, I actually search out stocks that are making all-time new highs. But that's longer term investing, so that makes sense. I won't short the high. I'd be more likely to buy again once it pulls back. So if we do pull back, what do we have to look at? What do we have to look for? Definitely the R3 pivot point, 37.91. Beyond that, you have yesterday's high and yesterday's close. Nothing much else up there. If we head higher, who the heck knows? All right, oil. So yesterday, I just thought of it now. I'm just going to breeze through oil. And then I'll talk about the ES a little bit more. The overnight oil was up. If we head higher, look out for the close, previous month's close. That is at 63.46. And then above that you have, it'll be last Wednesday's, last Tuesday and Wednesday's high in that general area. I would probably short up there if we get there. I don't think I would at the close. I would scalp that. I wouldn't long-term trade that level. If we head lower, we have yesterday's close to look out for. The overnight respected it pretty good. And then beyond that, you have 62. That's always an area of resistance. All right. So for yesterday, I missed something. I should have seen. this perfect triangle right before the open. I actually marked it yesterday morning in the stream. Or did I mark it in the stream? Yeah, I think I did. But you have this triangle. I deleted it then because I don't like all this. You have this really nice triangle. And then a very clear breakout. That should have been a sign. Especially when price broke above opening range high. And came back and just touched the open without going below it at all. That should have been a clear sign. And I missed it. I should have noticed it. I have a harder time with longer term trades. I'm very good at noticing them, but not good at the execution side. So I'll say, man, that looks like a great opportunity, and then I get screwed up in the execution, either not doing it at all or taking profits too early. So something I need to work on is longer term trades, building into them and building out of them. That is where the money will be made, unless I can figure out scalping. Alright, but that's all I have for today. Safe trading. Link to the community, link to the Discord is in the description. One day I hope to have at least quite a few members to discuss everything with, without the fear of some type of scammer. It's kind of funny. I feel like if I put out one of those YouTube videos on YouTube with, with the Home Alone face and me going, you won't believe $1 million in 6 days, or some bullshit, and I cook the records, make it look like I did all this, and then I'd have 1 million viewers. Not 1 million, but I'd have people like asking me, please scam me. It's just, it's human nature. There's far more people out there who are not serious traders. They're just flirting with the idea of it and are looking for a shortcut, who think that it's easy money. It's not easy money. Not even close. I would have been better off joining a union or something. But you do what you enjoy, and this is what I enjoy. Anyway, good luck. Goodbye.